Hi everyone, welcome to the Sunday live stream live from Tenby, Wales. I am joined tonight by Daryl from Northern Vinyl Guy. I'm joined by Liam, who's popped in quickly before the gig tonight. And I'm also joined by Brian. How's it going, gentlemen?
Good. Yeah.
Right, so shall we address the elephant in the room?
Sure.
Rob.
Yeah.
Nice outfit. What's
Thanks.
going on?
Well, people may know Oasis is back together and in the midst of their reunion tour. And in 5 hours' time or 6 hours' time, they'll be playing in Toronto. And I'm not there. And to say that I emotionally distraught by that would probably be an understatement.
Yeah.
There are still a handful of tickets available. But as I was telling you guys, as much as I want to go to Once in a Lifetime, this was my band. I mean, What's the Story changed my life in the 90s when it came out. Given that I have a family to support, my wife's a stay-at-home mom, we have a kid and whatever, it's irresponsible of me to spend $300 or $400 on a concert ticket. So I'm not there, and I'm emotionally distraught about it, but I'm making the best of it.
Okay. That's sad to hear.
Yeah. Well, I had the same issue, didn't I, Rob? Remember, I said they wanted like £350 to go and watch them in Cardiff, which was the first gig back together.
Yeah.
Which I kind of am an odd about it, but Liz said to me, she was like, "You can't. It's like you could go watch the Stereophonics 6 times,
right?
or band 6 times compared to what they were kind of going for." And on the day of the concert, I had a quick look because we discussed it on your live stream, and I was kind of a bit distraught. But, I've seen them live with the Foo Fighters. The last ever time they toured.
You son of a bitch.
So hey David, how's it going, mate?
I'm not bad. Sorry I was slightly late because the link took me to Instagram and I didn't want to go on Instagram, so I started trying to work all of that out, but I'm okay.
Brilliant, fantastic. Okay.
Look at this group.
Yes.
My God.
Yeah.
You've got some really, really good people here, and Brian too.
Can we just enlarge him for the people at home?
Oh, good God. Don't make me big, man. Don't do it.
So,
Oasis, oh my God. Is that what
David
you've been talking about? Oasis.
Well, I was just telling them they're playing in Toronto tonight, and they're my band, and I'm not there, and I'm not coping well with the fact that I am not there. So.
Well, we could have a little bit of a sing along here, couldn't we?
We
sing
could.
the wall together, and that would probably replicate what you're going to hear.
That would do it.
Right. Okay. So this week, I'd like to thank all my guests, by the way, for dropping everything and joining me. David's been on before. I think we'd done the best bands in the USA last time.
We did. It was good.
Yeah. Daryl, I'm meeting for the first time over the internet. I've met him on Rob's channel on the live stream a few weeks ago. That was a lot of fun, and my first time meeting Brian. So I thought it'd be cool, like a reunited from the VC meetup there. So
that's.
But yeah, so this evening,
Brian, have you got something nice to say?
Well, actually, as a joke, I said something that Chris told me that you would be on here, and I said, "What did I say? I've had enough of him."
And then my mind just went, "Oh, good God, what have I done?" So this evening we're going to do top your favorite bands or artists. From what Rob is wearing, I can kind of guess where this is going this evening. So what we'll do is we'll start with Rob because he's looking the part as usual, and we'll go from there. Right, Rob, it is over to you, mate.
Okay, so I mentioned before we started. I mean, there's 2 bands that are way above everyone else for me. One is the Beatles, and the other is Oasis. I guess I have a thing for British bands, I guess. But as I said, I think I inherited the Beatles from my parents when I started getting into music when I was, 12, 13, 14, whatever, in the early 90s. My parents listened to the Beatles. So, by osmosis, I picked up that. But Oasis was the first band of my generation that I picked up on my own. And I was right at that age when definitely maybe hit it big here after What's the Story, Morning Glory. What's the Story, Morning Glory? What made them blow up in North America. And I was right at that age. I think I was 15, something like that, when What's the Story, Morning Glory came out. And just sort of, it was almost like an epiphany type moment when I heard that record. Why, I don't know. But it means a lot to me. It's kind of the soundtrack to my life. And there are a lot of things that happened to Teenage Rob at that time that, that album and its predecessor and its successor sort of marked the soundtrack of the formative years of young me. So their music means a hell of a lot. And it's just one of those, you hear the note and I'm instantly taken back to, where I was and all of that kind of stuff. So massively important for me. And I hate that I'm not there tonight. It's fucking killing me. But nevertheless, I'm going to show one of their records, and I'm not going to show What's the Story, Morning Glory, even though that is the important one. I'm going to show this because, everyone talks about the first two, arguably the first three, Be Here Now, and even Master Plan. And then conversation usually fades. Not a lot of attention gets paid to the later albums. Some of them are okay. Some of them aren't. But I don't ever hear anyone really ever talk about Don't Believe the Truth, which I think was the second last album. I think it came out in about 2007 or something. I could read it if I didn't have stupid sunglasses on. I think this is an exceptional album. This is the one with Zach Starkey on drums. I love it. I think it's as good as Be Here Now with less of a bloated production. Lila was the big hit off of here, but there's other great songs like Turn Up the Sun, Importance of Being Idle, Let There Be Love, A Bell Will Ring. I just think this is an album that I just, for some reason, never gets any love, and I think it's phenomenal, and I put it pretty high in my Oasis rotation. So a band that I was of the right demographic, the right age, the right time that this album spoke to me and my collective peers at the time. I often talk about, the best music is music that you have some kind of emotional connection with for whatever reason. And there isn't music that I emotionally connect more with than Oasis. So sort of tied for my favorite band, but this is who I'm leading with tonight.
Can I ask a question?
You
know, the set list on this tour is dominated by the first two.
It
I
is.
think one or two tracks from the third album.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I think everything else is barely, if any, has any representation.
None.
Why do you think that the band and the audience kind of concur on all the later albums are not as important as the early ones?
I think it's so the first two are written at the same time. So definitely maybe in What's the Story really are kind of like volume 1 and 2. I mean, there's not much difference between the two. But I think that they sort of hit at a time when it was different than everything. I mean, the grunge movement was going on, and it's not complicated music. It's basic 3-chord rock and roll. It's nothing sophisticated, but it just hadn't been done this way before. And I think it was just the right place at the right time, and folks really resonated with those. And I think what happens, I mean, I can't imagine songwriting is easy. And when you put out something as big as What's the Story, Morning Glory, and a song like Wonderwall or a song like Don't Look Back in Anger, there's a lot of pressure to replicate that. And good luck trying to do it. Not to mention, by the time they were to follow up those, they were so strung out on coke and speed and whatever else. I don't think they ever. It's a pretty tall ask to repeat the magnitude of what that early stuff was. So I just think the first stuff is so good that that's what everyone focuses on. That's what everyone relates to. And if you went to the reunion show, that's the stuff you want to hear. They only have 2 hours to play, or 2.5 hours. And if you're playing something off of Dig Out Your Soul, people aren't going to be jumping up and down arm in arm like they are with cigarettes and alcohol.
Yeah.
So I think because this is a reunion and there was a lot of, is this going to work? Isn't this going to work? It's got to be loaded with fan service so that everyone leaves 100% satisfied.
Makes sense.
He's not here this evening, but hi, Rich. How's it going, mate?
Hey, Rich.
Hey, Richard.
He's slightly under the weather, so hopefully he'll be back next week. But yeah. Well, and Rob, I kind of had to start with you. We had nowhere else to go with that one, to be honest. Elephant in the room. So, yeah, cool. Okay, we will go next to my special guest this evening is Daryl. Hey, mate.
Oh, I'm a special guest this time.
Yeah, after the first appearance, you're not a special guest anymore.
All right, so since Richard's in the house, I want to preface this with, Richard, I don't want any garbage out of you talking about concerts you've been to until I talk about my second album. Because I know that you're going to bring up both of them, because I've talked about both these bands before, but I've never shown this first one actually ever, I don't think, on my channel, because it's been recent. But I mean, I'm like Rob. I mean, I grew up in high school in the 90s, things like that. So I kind of listened to a lot of 80s and 90s stuff. So my favorite bands are actually from the 90s. The issue with 90s bands is that, I mean, you got to buy new copies, because if you want the OGs, I mean, they're going to cost you a fortune. And that's kind of the thing with this band. It's an alternative band. I wasn't a huge grunge fan at the beginning, so I will show some grunge probably a little bit later, but I was straight up an alternative and heavier kind of 90s guy. And so I've got two stories, actually, both of these first albums. So my favorite band of all time, but I got to be kind of in a mood for it nowadays, is Primus. Both stories kind of involve my mom, because my mom is almost the centrifuge of how these bands kind of came to be, I guess, for me. So the only reason I even knew about Primus is my parents used to watch different music video channels and stuff, MTV, Much Music and stuff like that. And one day, Primus's Pork Soda, which actually was the first album I ever owned by Primus, I think it was Mr. Crinkle was the name of the song, came on the music video, and my mom was like, "Hey, Daryl, you got to check this out. This is a really cool band." So my mom actually likes Primus, which is absolutely crazy, seeing that my mom is like a Seals and Crofts kind of a person, right? And Chris, just for you, my mom really likes bread. So
yeah, that might be coming.
So, so the big thing is you can imagine a parent who really likes bread and Seals and Crofts going, Primus is a cool band. And so I checked it out, and I mean, we've got songs like Here Come the Bastards on here, which, you know, these damn blue-collared tweakers. And my mom is telling me as a 12-year-old that this is a cool band. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where this goes. But this isn't my favorite album by them. But the other story that kind of goes along with this album, being that it's my favorite band of all time, is I grew up in northwestern Ontario. And those of you that are from Canada know that there's tons of forest fires up there all the time. And one summer, the town that I grew up in, we were on a pretty big evacuation alert. And my dad was like, we're just going to go on vacation. So my dad packed up all his CDs and all of my CDs in the back of the van. Priorities. And this was one of them that was in there. So the big memory I have of this is going to my cousin's house. And his dad, there's a song on here called Sergeant Baker. I shouldn't say his dad, but his grandfather actually was a sergeant in the Canadian military, and his last name was Baker. So my cousin really got off in this band too. So my favorite band, I mean, they're quirky. They're not for everyone. In my personal opinion, I think Les Claypool is probably the best bass guitar player, at least slap bass guitar players of all time. He's a really weird dude, but a cool band, and something that I throw on every now and again. And for what it's worth, I'm not a completionist by any means, but Primus is probably one of the 2 or 3 bands that I want to try to complete their entire catalog on vinyl. So there we go, Primus.
I'm just impressed by how cool your parents are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, my dad. Speaking of my dad, I don't have this one, but my dad is another one. My name is Mud. That's a great tune. But my dad actually bought Cypress Hill's Black Sunday because he thought "Insane in the Brain" was a cool song.
It's one of them tracks gets stuck in your head, though, Daryl. Yeah, you can't get it out. Once it's in there, that's it. Brilliant. Well done, mate. Right, we are going to Brian. Hello, mate.
Right. Well, Daryl, your parents are far cooler than mine. Let me say than mine. So, well, I was camping when this invitation came through. I've dried out now. It rained, of course. And what I thought is that, I talk about my favorite artists all the time. So I'm going to leave people out that you might expect me to show. Like, I'm not going to mention Leonard Cohen or John Cale.
Leonard Cohen.
No John Cale. I'm not going to talk about the Smiths. So that's not going to come up. But I thought I would talk about a guy that I have loved. I don't even know when I first discovered his music, for a long time. And that is Brian Eno. And I don't know. He's described himself as a non-musician, really interesting, avant-garde, sort of almost like a chameleon in terms of what he's done. This is his first solo record from '74. Of course, he was famously in Roxy Music for a couple of records before that, doing who knows what, like synthesizer stuff, treatments, things like that, before he released what I think is one of the 2 best trilogies of all time, the first 3 records he put out. And I think that they're phenomenal. And he also dabbles in a bunch of other things. Of course, if you don't know Brian Eno's solo music, you're going to know something or somebody that he's worked with, like U2 and other people. The list is really long about people he's worked with. Now, I was going to bring down every single Brian Eno record I have, but I couldn't hold them all at once, and I thought that's outrageous. But the other thing I like about him is he's changed his sound and his approach to music over the years. So starting from a very sort of glam, almost rock perspective to ambient music, which seemed to be like a crazy corner to turn, and he described it as ignorable as it is interesting, which I think is fascinating because you can put it on and just sort of ignore it, or you can get right into it. And I think, some of those records are better on CD perhaps than they are on vinyl. And then, back and forth with moving into electronica, maybe some things that are more rock. I mean, the thing about him that I find really interesting, especially on the early records, is that there's music here that is just odd enough to keep me really interested, but not so weird as to, make people run away, but also songs that are really accessible. So this record has Babies on Fire, which when I first heard it, I could not believe what I was hearing. I thought it was just a really interesting song. And, I have a couple other ones here, just here's another, record. And then by the time, the late 90s, I was really into this record called Nerve Net, which I thought was just a phenomenal piece of music. And he's done other releases like this, which are really electronic. For a while, he gave up singing. He decided he wasn't going to sing anymore. And then he started singing again. I think he's got a really underrated voice. And of course, did a lot of work with another favorite of mine, Robert Fripp. So a very chameleon-like musician that unfortunately, I think he gets a lot of attention in his production. I don't think people, sure people do know, but I don't think as many people know about him as I think should know about him, because I think he's really fascinating, a really fascinating guy. So one of my favorites for a very long time.
Cool, mate.
I think it's hard to keep up, isn't it? With he's so prolific, is that you just become familiar with one album, and then before you know it, there's another one around the corner.
Yeah, that's true. And he just had another collaboration just came out. I can't remember I can't remember the person's name, but 2 albums just came out. So really, yeah, you're right. It's hard to keep up with him because there's just so much stuff. And I have his box set, Music for Installations, which is 9 albums of just stuff from his installations. And of course, he's an artist as well, visual artist, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of music. It's a lot to deal with.
Alex from Being Vinyl says, to this day, I still don't really know what Eno did in Roxy Music.
You're not the only one. Yeah.
So cool.
He brought the weirdness, didn't he?
Yeah, for sure. And the way he dressed, especially in Roxy Music, was outrageous. So interesting. Yeah. So.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Right, David.
Oh, me. Well, I don't have any favorites. It's fair to say. So what I'm going to do during this this show we've got here, I'm going to just go through chronologically the bands and the artists that I was so into, I became a completist or a near completist. And it's just one of those things that I've got to such a point in my listening life that I just can't nail down any one or more artists to say those are favorites. So I'm going to start with my first journey into vinyl, and one of the first albums that I picked up on was a budget one by an artist or a band that are considered to be kind of the British psychedelic movement, but they're a pop band as well, and that is The Move, and this is Fire Brigade. Now, am I backwards here?
Nope.
No. So you can see The Move as the way it's written here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's just what I can say on the screen is it's the other way around. I don't know why that's the case, but anyway, yeah, The Move, Fire Brigade. It cost about £1, and it's a fantastic album, and that led me into Wizard, and it's Roy Wood I'm talking about, by the way, because I was so entranced by the way he looked and these yearning vocals, and he's just great, high variety pop. You know, it's everywhere. This album is absolutely all over the place. It's kind of like old time rock and roll, big band. But it's also got a warm ballad that's kind of like a prog style that closes the album, called Wear a Fast Gun. And just to finish off on Roy Wood, I was like first in the queue when his solo album came out, Boulders. Again, a really eclectic mix, playing all the instruments themselves. So look at that gatefold. You can kind of see what he's into. The big single here was called Dairy Lane. Just great. And at school, I was only good at one thing, and that was art. And I always used to paint in art class, Roy Wood with his wizard makeup on. So yeah, that's kind of my first favorite. Life was to change quite quickly after I grew. Well, somebody came along and trumped Roy Wood, but yeah, he was my first favorite artist.
Is Roy Wood from Birmingham?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, I got a little backstory on this. So one of the lads, older gentleman that lives near me in Tenby, he used to run pubs in Birmingham, and one of the pubs used to have Roy Wood coming in with a few others and just give a few songs. But he said they were really quiet, like they just stick to themselves, same kind of group. But yeah, I thought he mentioned he was from Birmingham.
Yeah, he still does Christmas shows, I think. You know, and of course, the big thing was it could be Christmas every day, and See My Baby, Jive Angel Fingers. Absolutely fantastic pop singles, but he's ancient, but he still puts on a Christmas show every year. Amazing.
Yeah. You used to see him on GMTV Christmas Eve, didn't you? He'd banging them out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, brilliant. Good choice, mate. Right, okay. I will go next. So a band I've recently got back into and I've started collecting their collection is Zac Brown Band. So it's kind of like country kind of music, really relaxing kind of music, really enjoy it. They're actually going to be playing in the Sphere in Las Vegas in January.
Wow.
And I'm very tempted to go, if I'm being honest, because I think this will be an amazing show. They got some really good songs. This is the most recent one I picked up. This is called The Owl. It's not a great Steve, but it'll do. And the big one on here is Someone I Used to Know. So, yeah. Zac Brown Band. I've got the greatest hits when it comes to surprise. but I'm going to show this one because I think it's a pretty cool colored vinyl. So, bit of splattering going on there. I had a good deal on this, £10 on Amazon, on eBay. Sorry, not Amazon. So, but the rest are going for like £200, £300. The greatest hits I've got, it was on eBay the other day, going for £750.
Oh, dear.
So, you've got to love them for that. so yeah. I think.
Well, can I hold my hand up and say I've never heard of them?
Okay. You may
Can you
be better
describe
off.
the music a bit more?
Yes. So, country kind of raspy, poppy, that kind of music. If that makes any sense. So it's one of them bands, Dave, you've got to listen to make sense.
Yeah.
Genre-wise, they're probably down as country kind of pop, if I'm being honest. I don't know if anybody else has heard of them in the group tonight.
Yeah, they're big here.
But they were big coming out to the 2000s, 2005, 2006 kind of time. They've kind of dropped off slightly now, and they got a new single out with Snoop Dogg.
Where have we heard that before?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm not keen on that one. I prefer their older stuff. That's why I'm collecting their backlog. But yeah.
I once ran a radiothon for a 30-hour famine up here with high school kids.
Yeah.
And one of the teachers that was at the 30-hour famine, just to intentionally antagonize the students, played Chicken Fried because he knew the kids couldn't eat any food. So just by rubbing all these food songs in on the kids, it was funny. And Chicken Fried talks about all kinds of food, right? So
yeah, there's some good. They do some good songs like Colder Weather, Goodbye in Her Eyes. It's more like trucker kind of music as well. They talk about on the road and that kind of thing.
You Florida Georgia Line, they're kind of like that.
Yeah.
Style.
Yeah, pretty much. Good splatter vinyl. Thank you, Rich. I think so too. Looks pretty cool. Had to clean the hell out of it though. It was stinking. But there we are. Right. Sorry, Liam. If you know what I mean.
I mean, I'm not going to the Beatles, right? But do we need to talk? I mean, why even talk about them, right? So, since this is favorite bands, anyone want to hazard a guess what my other favorite band's going to be?
Have you got to go to a rodeo for it?
Probably. I mean, I can't talk about favorite bands and not mention Blue Rodeo, right?
Yeah.
Which is not a country band. I don't know if David's ever heard of them. Probably not. Rock with a tinge of country, I guess. Country rock, whatever.
I have.
Have you? All right.
I was massively into alt country and Americana all the way through the 90s and the first decade of this century. So
awesome.
Yeah, I've come across them. I've got stuff on CD only though.
Okay, well that's good.
Yeah.
My favorite band, they're from Toronto, and I live not too far from Toronto. I live not too far from Brian. These guys played their annual Toronto show last night at the Budweiser stage, and they live streamed it on YouTube, and I watched it. For whatever reason, I really connected with these guys when I discovered them in the late 90s. And I have seen them, I'm not kidding, 53 times. I think that might be a lot. And I have tickets to see them. They're on their 40th anniversary tour this fall. I'm going to go see them again. I could talk forever about these guys just because I've seen them so many times. I have so many stories, and I have an obscene amount of Blue Rodeo memorabilia in this room. And I have some connections with the band. A friend of mine played with them for almost 20 years. So love these guys. Just something about their brand of alt country rock, whatever you want to call it, really resonated with me. And, they often sing a lot about the Canadian cultural experience, which also obviously resonates with me. So this is their album, The Things We Left Behind, which I rarely listen to because I don't think it's very good. But I always show the same stuff, right? So this is an interesting album. This was a concept album that they put out in 2009. This was just before really the vinyl revival kind of started, and I guess I think it was somebody like Coldplay or Radiohead or somebody had done an interview and said the album is dead. We're only doing singles, and these guys said, "Well, that's horseshit." So they responded by putting out a double album on vinyl, and they did it in the way that, you know, double albums used to be, where each side of the double album is put together in the way that it's supposed to be, that kind of takes you on a journey through the album. And the idea is that the first side of the first disc is kind of like the evening, and then you have kind of the second side is the nighttime, and then the morning, and it's kind of their moods through each side of the record. And I think it's really good. I think if it had been a single, it probably would have been a little bit better. Great musicianship. I just think that there are periods where the energy is a little lower than maybe it should be. But I show it because I don't show it very often. I should show it because it's a gatefold. There they are there. This is Greg Keeler is one of the lead singers. This is his farm outside Peterborough, Ontario. It's called Lost Cause Studios. It's where the band does a lot of recording. So this is on Greg's farm. So 2009's The Things We Left Behind. There are no hits on here that you would recognize.
And the documentary is really good as well.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well done, mate. Right. Okay. Let me try and sort out this StreamYard. I'm on a bit of an issue here. Hang on. Darryl! Thank God it works. Right.
All right, Richard. Now you can talk about concerts that you've been to. So, Rob, you talked about a band who shall remain nameless. We don't want to rub the wounds in here. And how part of that, you know, your teenage years and all that kind of stuff. Well, this isn't the, I guess, me losing anything or whatever. This is more of my teenage angst.
Your wallet or your keys?
This was me getting rid of my anger and my aggression as a teenager group. And there was a point, I suppose, in my life where I had some friends that were less than positive when it came to, I suppose, the way that they used their religious values and how they tried to portray it on other people, including my youngest sister, which, you know, I'm not going to get into that story. But this band here, Tool, I know they're not for everyone, but when it came to my teenage angst and basically getting rid of all my aggressions, if I was in a bad mood, I would throw this on. My personal favorite album by them is Anima, but in order to buy a vinyl copy of that, you're forking out tons of money unless you want an unofficial copy, and the band doesn't like that. So we'll go with this one because I think that this particular photo that's on here kind of summarizes everything about my teenage years, or at least my mid-teenage years, probably 95 through 97. But going back to my mom worked in a clothing store, but they used to have those little those carousel things that had cassette tapes in them. And I always wanted to buy the Undertow cassette tape, which had the explicit lyrics thing underneath it. And my mom, being the cool person that she is, came home from work one day with the Tools Undertow cassette tape and said, "This is for you. I know it's got an explicit lyrics thing, but whatever. I don't care," kind of thing. So, yeah, I've always wanted to see them in concert. Maynard's kind of taken, I guess, a step back from being the I guess the center of the band. You know, if you look at music videos and concerts of them in the 90s, he was always center stage. But I don't know if it's a stage fright thing or just maybe his ego has kind of got in the way. I don't know. But he kind of puts himself off to the side of the stage now in these videos. And, you know, I think it's hilarious that the band waited 13 years to go between their most recent album and the one before it, just because they wanted to piss off the record label. They didn't want to follow through with their agreement for 13 years. And yeah, I don't know. There's just something about this particular band. And oh, you guys, I don't know what's going on here. My camera. There we go. It just randomly shut off. There you go. But anyway, yeah, no, the Tool would be my teenage angst, I guess, band. Once again, like Primus, though, I got to be kind of in a specific mood for it. I will not be a completionist because I'm not going to be spending $500, $600, $700, $800 on a vinyl record that I have on CD. So, but Anima is my favorite. But yeah, there we go. Tool, once again, encouraged by my mom. I don't know why.
Awesome.
I just feel like Tool never really made it over here in the UK. I don't know about you, David. Have you come across them at all?
Well, I'm tempted just to check whether I've got one in the racks here, but I've got a couple of CDs. But I have to say, it's one of these things, bands that I kind of picked up on, listened to a couple of times, shelved, and forgot about.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Brian.
Yeah. So Daryl, your first two have really surprised me a little bit. So anyway, I've been shuffling these around. I'm not for sure what order to do them in, but I thought I'd throw a Canadian artist in here just because I'm from Canada, obviously, and someone I've been listening to for over 40 years, and that is Bruce Cockburn. So this is his 1991 album called Nothing But a Burning Light. And I'm assuming people know who he is. He's kind of, in some respects, not very well known, but in certain other respects, very well known. He's got a pretty solid fan base, pretty well known up here, but I'm not sure how well known he is internationally. Possibly could be described as maybe an underrated guitarist. I think he is a truly excellent guitarist, although he said recently, because he just turned 80, that there's certain songs he can no longer play because of arthritis. But I find him very interesting because he starts from a really folk background and certainly brought in electric guitar and more jazz influences, but not overtly jazz, just jazz influences. But, fairly rock sound in addition to the folk sound. Very interested in environmental issues, politics. He's written a lot of political songs that irritate some people and other people really love. And he's from Ottawa. I should have said he's from Ottawa. And he also has a theme running through many of his albums that are, well, for a while he had a French language song on every record that he sang in French. But there's also, which doesn't thrill me as much, a religious component to some of his work. So there's often a song that alludes to Christianity, which it's not for me. I'm not a very religious person. There's one song in here that I actually do not like. However, I think his guitar playing is truly next level. I mean, it's pretty phenomenal, and I think he's got an excellent voice. I've seen him in concert, not a huge amount, maybe 7 times over the years. I think he's in a mix, sometimes solo, sometimes with the band. And I have everything he's ever released on either CD or vinyl. Some things were never released on vinyl, so I don't have those. But a really interesting guy. I don't know what else to say. Just I find him really fascinating. I think the guitar work is really excellent.
I think the other thing too, Brian, is he's kind of revered by a lot of musicians here as kind of like the songwriter's songwriter.
Right.
Highly
Yeah.
revered.
Yeah, he's won the Governor General's Award. He's been inducted into the Order of Canada. He's had several honorary doctorates, I think 5 or 6. Numerous awards. Like the length of awards he's won is really lengthy. He went to he went to the Berklee School of Music for a while, decided that wasn't for him and pursued other interests. But I think he's phenomenal.
I got a question for you, Brian. You talked at the beginning of the show that you weren't going to show like Leonard Cohen or anything like that. Why do you think that Bruce Cockburn, with all these awards and accolades that he has received, is not as highly revered as Leonard Cohen?
I would say, firstly, Leonard Cohen's lyrics are far more interesting. I would say that he's, it's the greatest lyricist of the 20th century. Could be Bob Dylan, could be Leonard Cohen, who knows? But I think Leonard Cohen is that good. I think his lyrics, Bruce's lyrics, are good. I just don't think they're on that level of poetry that Leonard Cohen was. Also, Leonard Cohen was more of an enigmatic person. Had sort of a mystery to him. The legendary sort of relationships with women, his relationship with Greece, Leonard Cohen is really was a funny man. Like, I think that's often overlooked how funny he is, especially in interviews. And Bruce Cockburn is more serious than that, I think. And so I think when Leonard Cohen released an album, it might seem weird now, but it was a rare event. He released several records, but there was often years between them. And so it was like this event for those people who knew him. And Leonard Cohen had far more fans in Europe than he did in North America for a long time. So there's something different about Leonard Cohen, I think, than Bruce Cockburn. But Bruce Cockburn is, I would say, probably one of Canada's best singer-songwriters. And
Great.
just turned 80, but we'll see how much longer he has. I don't know. Yeah,
I don't really know him, Brian, but I've got a couple of LPs. Got that one.
Yep, that's
Got
very
that
jazzy.
one.
It's alive. Yep.
Got that one. Got that one. Got that one.
Come on, Brian, keep up. You've got to name them as he pulls them.
I should have done that.
I don't really
I've got a
know,
few
but I have
CD.
25
The
of
ones
his
you
albums.
showed, I've got that on CD.
You don't have my favorite recording from him, though.
Which is what?
Nothing But a Burning Light.
On CD.
No,
I've got-
sorry. Nothing.
Yeah.
I'm getting it wrong. Charity of Night. I was thinking of this record. The Charity of Night.
I
Charity
can't
of Night.
remember. Might have it on.
Yeah.
I've got a few on CD. Back in the 90s, these CDs were just dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Always in the sale bins
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Interesting guy, though.
I just recently got, actually, when I was down for the summer near Grand Bend, I was at the flea market that's there, and I bought I forget what the name of the album is, the one that has If a Tree Falls on it. Got it for
Big circumstance.
I got it for like $8 or something. Really good condition. So
That's a pretty good record. You know, I read this. Somebody made a comment somewhere that I've met him too. I got his autograph, but somebody said that he took all of his CDs to a Bruce Cockburn signing. He says, "Look, I can't sign them all." And he said, "Well, just sign your favorite one." And oddly, Bruce Cockburn chose Big Circumstance, which surprised me, but it's a really good record.
yeah, for sure.
Cool. Let's look at the comments real quick. Martin's saying, "Hi guys, the two albums I'm loving, Quadrophenia and Talk Spirit of Eden." And then Richard was saying that both super bands in very different ways.
Yeah.
There's another one. Simon saying 10 New Songs is a good album.
My favorite.
Yeah, I agree. It's good.
Cool. Right. Okay. Let's go to David. You got me?
Oh yeah. So when I was listening to Roy Wood all the way through 1973, and a friend of mine at school said, "You got to hear this album," and it was this one, and it changed my musical life. I loved it. I bought it. I loved it. I bought everything that had gone before, and my first ever concert was them doing The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, which I saw about 2 weeks before I actually bought the album. But I continue to follow Genesis, certainly through Wind and Wuthering. Then there were Three, Duke maybe, and I've got fairly strong opinions on what they did in the 80s. But I just thought they were just so incredibly inventive, and unlike most bands who are in the kind of prog genre, they were never really big on solos. I think there was something I think one of the band members had said in an interview, and it stuck with me, is that everything they did was in service of the song. And I remember seeing Yes live in the late 1970s, I think it was. And it was like a showcase for, expert musicianship. A few songs thrown in here and there, but all these solo spots. Genesis never really did that other than the dual drum solo towards the end of the gig. But they were an absolutely fantastic band, wonderful, and just this is a desert island disc for me. It's amazing. So yeah, Genesis, big band in this household.
Cool, mate. I recently got into
I'm
Genesis.
glad we all agree, by the way.
Yes. Yes.
I grew up on them. My parents listened to them when I was little in the 80s. My dad never had the 70s prog stuff. So I grew up on the 80s stuff, but I could see how the 80s going a little more soft pop would be divisive for sure with Genesis.
I think the band always, the main songwriters in the band were Peter Gabriel, Mike Rutherford, and Tony Banks, and they all had ambitions to be writers of pop songs.
Mm-hmm.
And they just, when Steve Hackett left, he was like the grit and the oyster, I think, in terms of creativity. And when he left, they just simplified their music. And what they did, they ended up buying their own studio. And instead of constructing songs that were written on a piano or a guitar, they would improvise with a drum machine. And so everything became simplified and to my ears generic, almost all the way through the 1980s. Great pop music, but all that great inventiveness kind of more or less evaporated in my judgment.
Yeah. So Richard was saying his favorite 80s Genesis is definitely Dookie.
It's a good album.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Shall we get this over and done with? Because I think you know what I'm going to do. So let's just do it. Okay, Stereophonics. Brilliant. They're just brilliant. This is the album called Ucha. So this isn't their most recent one, but this is a bit more upbeat kind of album that they brought out back in 2022, I want to say. Went to go and see them on this tour in the Principality Stadium in Cardiff in front of 80,000 people. Absolutely fantastic. And the support act was Mr. Tom Jones.
Wow.
So all Welsh event.
Somebody messed up the bill.
Yeah, should have been the other way around. I know a lot of people are talking about that. But this is Ucha. I'll show you the inside. So you can see cap gun, that kind of thing going on there. This came, there was two variants you could get, but I got the blue one. So there's the Stereophonics. This is a bit more upbeat. The last album they brought out is a bit more mellow. But you got Hanging on the Hinges is a really good one to kick things off. And Do You Feel My Love is another good one. All I Have Is You, and there's a few good other ones on there as well. So I know I keep mentioning this every single live stream and pretty much every video I do. These are kind of like my Blue Rodeo.
You gotta have it.
So there you go. That's the Stereophonics. Now, on a side note, real quick, if I can find it. Brian, I want you to check out an album, okay? Because I know you're into your kind of out there kind of music. But this guy is from the Stereophonics. He's the lead singer called Kelly Jones.
Okay.
Right? And he's brought his own album out. I'll send you the link if you like.
Okay.
But I think you may enjoy this.
All right.
Yeah?
Thank you. I'll check it out.
And that's all Stereophonics I'm going to mention tonight before I lose all my viewers. So we will go back to Mr. Gallagher as soon as StreamYard decides to bloody work. There you go. That's great.
Okay. I'm going to do two because these two artists are related. So you'll appreciate where we're going with this, Chris.
Oh, dear.
Okay. First, I'm going to show this. Now, this looks like it's some kind of weird hard rock album, I guess, but it's not. It's an album called Terminal Romance by a band called Matt Mays and El Torpedo. And this is Matt right here. El Torpedo disbanded, but Matt Mays kept going as Matt Mays. He's been making rock records for 20 years, surprisingly. Started around 2005. He's got about 10 albums now, I think. And it's just straight up electric guitar rock and roll. And it's absolutely phenomenal. Some of the loudest concerts I've ever been to are Matt Mays concerts. Like earplugs wouldn't cut it. That's how loud they were. But he's awesome. This came out in... Why I'm wearing stupid sunglasses beats me. 2008. Just a absolutely phenomenal rock record. I've met Matt. I've been to many shows. He's from Eastern Canada. Grew up in Nova Scotia, but now actually lives about 40 minutes down the road from me. Now near Hamilton, Ontario, not too far away. He's working on a new record, which I'm excited about. He has an alpaca farm where they have converted the barn to a studio, and he has artists come and he does concerts with them in his barn, and you can pay to go to these concerts. And there was two I wanted to go there this year, but they sold out, so hopefully I'll get to one of them next year. But just great, awesome electric guitar rock. I love every one of his albums. They're phenomenal. As an offshoot from Matt Mays, this is where you might recognize this, Chris. Look familiar? Matt had a lead guitar player, still does. His name is Adam Baldwin. And I talk about this guy a lot. And I have said that I think he is an undiscovered, there you go, Chris has got it, an undiscovered national treasure. He's put out 2 EPs and 2 full albums, and this being the most recent one. So when he went solo from Matt, even though he's still with Matt, but when he decided to do some solo stuff, his first stuff was real sort of like Matt Mays, but his hero was Bruce Springsteen, and he looked and sounded like Bruce Springsteen. And the running joke is when he put out his first album, his band used to call him the supervisor because he wasn't quite the boss.
Right.
But it's that sort of Springsteen kind of rock. And then kind of took a left turn. This album came out in 2022. It's called Concertos and Serenades. This is a signed copy. This is completely different. He's also from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. This is a folk record. This is him writing about the sort of darker underside of the difficult life of someone growing up on the east coast of Canada. Some of these are real stories inspired by real people, and some of these are sort of fictitious urban legends. But I have never heard an album that is such well-crafted stories. Every one of these is a story. I've only been to Dartmouth once in my life for a day, but having listened to this, I feel like I know what he's talking about, and I feel like I've been to these places. He describes them so well. He was inspired by another Canadian folk singer named Stan Rogers, who had a very untimely passing. So Adam wanted to kind of write his version of a Stan Rogers record. So it is, if you like Gordon Lightfoot and his kind of storytelling, this is a modern, someone now doing the same kind of storytelling that Gordon Lightfoot did. And this is absolutely phenomenal. This is a gatefold. You can see Adam there walking down the Causeway Road. This is actually Causeway Road, which there is an incredible song about on this record. So my favorite Canadian artist at the moment, even more than that other band I talk about a lot.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Sounds interesting.
Very good stuff.
Yeah. Can't wait to play it.
Cocaine Cowgirl is a great song.
Yes.
I have
I
not
guess
just
that would be
played
kind
it.
of a gateway song to go with if you're gonna look in Matt Mays and El
Yeah.
Torpedo.
I would. If you want to check out Matt Mays, look on YouTube for a song called Cocaine Cowgirl. That was the big one that sort of launched his career into the mainstream. Just a phenomenal. Everything about it is great.
The link you sent me on YouTube for his acoustic set that he did.
Yeah.
That was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, that was a Juno Award sort of pre-show that he did with his band called the Jenny Wren. That was an incredible show. I'm going to see. I mean, I've seen Adam a bunch of times. I've met him a bunch of times. I'm seeing him in November. He's opening for Blue Rodeo. So for me, that's a twofer right there. I actually, believe it or not, I'm going more to see Adam Baldwin than Blue Rodeo. So having seen them 53 times, whatever. So
Take a break. Brilliant. Okay. Daryl.
All right, so here we go. You've done your Stereophonics, and Rob, you talked about Blue Rodeo. We're gonna go with one that most of you probably think is gonna show up, so I'll just do it. So these are guys from Newmarket, Ontario, which is just north of Toronto, but they have like an East Coast, I guess, Celtic feel to them. And that's gonna be Glass Tiger. So recently, over the summer, I was finally able to get their Simple Mission album, which I've been talking about as being one of my grails. There was only 2 pressings of it done in the 90s, I think. One from Spain, I think, and the other from Europe. But how I got into this band is kind of, I just used to listen to the radio, local radio at night, and they'd come on. And when I was in grade 9, I used to babysit this kid. My parents knew his parents, and I had a CD called Glass Tigers Airtime, which was kind of their first greatest hits, I guess you would call it, album. And so I was just hooked on them. But they only, I think, had one Billboard hit. I don't think they really went too far outside of Canada. This is the one that does have their Billboard hit, Don't Forget Me When I'm Gone. But for me, Glass Tiger is more about like the deep cuts. So there's a song on this one called The Vanishing Tribe. I Will Be There is another one that I like. And then there's a song called Far Away From Here, which is off their Diamond Sun album. This is The Thin Red Line. But I just think that they're a fantastic band. And then after 1991, they just stopped releasing albums up until about 2020. They had an EP, a second kind of a greatest hits, more like just a revisited album. And then they did a Christmas album in 2020. I know a lot of it had to do with Alan Frew. He had some health issues, the lead singer. And I think this one's kind of cool because it's actually a top load, which I don't have too many top load covers. So yeah, Glass Tiger, my favorite Canadian band, if not my favorite band ever. So there we go.
Right, Daryl, quick question for you on Glass Tigers. I've seen you mention it a few times. It's just kind of like your Blue Rodeo, your Phonics, yeah. What kind of music are we looking at there, mate? Like, kind of, is it full on rock? Is it kind of indie rock? Is it?
It's kind of like more like just like a. I like to call it Canadian rock because it's Canadian rock, like Blue Rodeo and stuff, kind of have their own, I guess their own feel to it. I don't want to compare them to Blue Rodeo because they're not Blue Rodeo, but I guess you could kind of go down that vein, but with a more Celtic feel to some degree. Like the song My Town and their song My Song have a very like Rod Stewart is in My Town. And it kind of has like an East Coast feel to it. So that's kind of how I would describe it, as like a soft rock, 80s soft rock with a little bit of Celtic feel to it.
So
who else is on that record, Daryl?
Oh, yes. Bryan Adams.
There we go. There we go. Richard, you should be keeping score.
So if I was to start with them, I know you're probably going to say start at the front, but is it an album that sticks out in your mind? You go, this is a good one to kind of start with.
Yeah, I mean, I would start with one of the first two, either Diamond Sun or the Thin Red Line. Those are the ones. Go with the Thin Red Line because that's the first one. Go with that one.
Okay.
And your mother didn't have anything to do with that record?
She had nothing to do with that one. Local radio had everything to do with that one.
Brilliant. Okay. Okay, let me just go through the comments real quick, guys. 2 seconds. Let's have a look here. What's Rob put? What have you put with it, mate? It was not let me click on it. What is going on with this StreamYard today? I'm having so many issues. Why is it not working? Or whatever. Right, okay, he's laughing. That album Daryl showed is really good. Great representation of Glass Tiger. Of Richard. Hang on, see if I can click on it. Yes, at last. Okay. I'm not keeping score with Blue Road and Glass Tiger. Okay. Brilliant. Right. Who's next on my list? It is Brian.
All right. So I wanted to make sure I included at least something from the last 25 years, since the first two people I showed have been making records since the 70s, 60s, 70s, whatever. So I've chosen what I think is the best rock band in the United States for the last 20 some years. That's the Hold Steady. And this is their second record, Separation Sunday, featuring the vocals of Craig Finn and guitar work by Tad Kubler. Now, they were in a band previously called Lifter Puller. They're from Minneapolis. Big fans of Husker Du, that sort of style of music. And they've released 9 studio albums. Last one was in 2023, so 9 records over approximately 20 years, plus a live record. This particular record is a concept album, which follows the interweaving stories of several characters, including the narrator is Craig. You've got Charlemagne, Hallelujah, who's known as Holly. It is a really interesting, densely lyrical record with biblical references and like in jokes. He name drops tons of people, even in the previous records. In fact, some of the characters actually originate on the first record, which is called Almost Killed Me. Really interesting. Now, Craig Finn is not the best vocalist in the world. In fact, I think after the 5th record or so, he took singing lessons. So he's kind of sings, speaks, almost shouts. So it's not the most subtle presentation. It's not the most smooth presentation. But something about the guitar work, from Tad, and the lyrics themselves really lend itself to a really interesting presentation. This album, I think, is my favorite from them. There's really, it's just fantastic. I can't even begin to describe how good this record is. This would be probably in the top 5 records in the last 25 years. No question about it. I think it's that good. Now, their first few records had pretty much universal acclaim. Now, I guess in later albums, they're still excellent. They're not quite as good as the early ones, but after 9 records, you can't, it's still amazing that they're going on. So other influences other than people like Husker Du is Craig is a big Bruce Springsteen fan. That comes through in his storytelling. So a lot of his songs have a story behind them, including this entire record. He's released several solo records, which also features sort of a story about characters, which is very Springsteen-esque. The delivery is maybe not Springsteen, but the idea behind it, the story, the drive behind it is more maybe Springsteen-esque. But really excellent. They've had some personnel changes, like the keyboardist left for a while, came back. And this is a repress. I don't have the original. The original is super hard to get, but it's a repress. I recommend this. I think if you like pub rock or just rock music, this is an excellent band. And their first 5 records, at least, I think are phenomenal and worth having in your collection. Really interesting group of guys. They moved out to, started in Minneapolis, moved out to New York, so they're in New York now.
Would you start with Alan, Brian, that album?
Yeah, why not? I would start with this one. This is an excellent place to start. I would say the first 3 are terrific. First 3 for sure. Those are my 3 favorites, but even after that, I love their music. But this would be a good place to start. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And it might be one of those things where you're listening to it and suddenly it clicks with you, because maybe the first time through you might not really get it, but it just sort of is one of those records that just really gets you. Like Cecile's favorite record is the one that comes after this, which is Boys and Girls in America. She prefers it to this one. It's really excellent too. So that's my suggestion.
Cool, mate. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, I'll have to check that one out.
This is why live streams cost me so much money.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Of course, it's not Rob. So Richard saying, love the Hold Steady.
Good to hear.
So yeah, he's obviously a fan of it. So brilliant. Right, we will come back to Britain now. We'll go to David.
Okay. Well, it's probably a false distinction, but when I think about Genesis, they were very adept at making the hairs on the back of my neck or my arms stand up. They had these wonderful kind of climaxes in their music, and it was always intellectually challenging. In a sense, it was always interesting. There was nothing was going to go where you thought it was going to go, at least up until about 1980. But when I think of my next favorite, it's somebody who got me right in the gut, and I've stuck with this artist ever since 1978, and I'm a completist, except I have no legit copy of the latest release for kind of obvious reasons. But my entry point to this guy was this one of the best albums of all time, in my judgment, alongside Selling England by the Pound, one of my top 3 Desert Island discs. There's something about the heart of this record that kind of reminds me, not of my life, but lives that could have been going on in the place where I grew up in Newcastle upon Tyne. People kind of struggling from paycheck to paycheck, relationships breaking down, but with that kind of resilience and defiance that you got to try and make the best of your life. And this guy has just inspired me so much over the years. Seen about 40 gigs with this guy, mostly in the UK, but a little bit overseas as well. And it's just, I think he's great. I mean, I think the last few years, the tours that he's been doing has kind of put me off a little bit. It's been a bit like Sing Along a Bruce, like Sing Along Oasis. It's kind of not my thing really, and he's not been peddling a new album where half the set list is kind of new and exciting. It's kind of more like a greatest hits set. So I've kind of gone a little bit off the boil with this man, but undeniably this is one of my favorite albums of all time. Fantastic.
Did you go to watch him in Cardiff recently? Did you go to the gig in Cardiff?
On the last tour, it was last year, I saw him in Cardiff and in Sunderland.
Yeah. Okay.
But I didn't go to Manchester or Liverpool this year. My eldest daughter, I took her to Sunderland last year, and Catherine was dead keen to see him again because her first ever concert was seeing Bruce about 10 years earlier, when she was too young to remember. But I couldn't get tickets for sensible prices. And it's just the same with this stupid box set that is just extraordinarily expensive. It's like you need a bunch of Amazon vouchers to even consider buying it.
That's how I got it.
I know. But I did get something today, and that is this.
Oh.
Printed with iTunes. So there are ways and means. It's not the best. But it will do.
Yeah. Just for my channel, and if YouTube are listening, right? Okay. So yeah. Well, do you know what, David? We'll just carry on going, shall we?
Well, I just wonder what. Well, Brian, have you listened to the box set yet? What do you think?
I'm only halfway through it, so, and I've only heard the things I've heard once. So there are certain songs that stand out. I can't remember what they are, but I have to give it some more time.
Okay. So, Chris.
Yeah.
Another Bruce fan, eh?
Well, no, this is Rob's fault. So,
As is most of your record purchases.
yes, mate. And then what David did, because he found out that I was collecting Bruce, he sent me some of his videos. He's ranked on YouTube, like it was a year ago, David, I think.
3 years. It was my second or third video 3 or 4 years ago.
So he was saying he was ranking his kind of what to get and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I still go back to this album every Sunday morning this goes on. But I've got to be honest, Lost Tapes 2, the 2 LP I've got, I'm playing that more than I'm playing this now. Because I just think it's something new to me. But I do want to get a box set. So I've told everybody for Christmas, just give me Amazon vouchers.
You've got Darkness on the Edge of Town, though, haven't you?
Yeah.
And you've got the live album? Have you got the live box set?
Yes.
Okay.
I haven't got the collection right in front of me at the moment, but I'm getting there. And there's a part of me, though, I told Rob this a few weeks ago, actually. I'm quite tempted to buy the second box set that he released, like the suitcase one that's got all the albums, but I don't know. We'll see. I'd rather spend the money on the Lost Tapes, I think.
You can go find the records at a record store, man. Buy originals; they're cheaper.
Yeah. They're such big sellers, well, aren't they, Rob? So they're always around.
Yeah.
So
the whole first 15 years, all those albums you see them in every record store. Why pay $40 or $30 for a new one? We can get a decent used one for 10.
yeah, I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
It's just the thought in it. Oh, that looks really cool. That looks really cool.
Well, I bought the volume 1 of the suitcase thing that came out, and I don't think I've ever played any of the vinyl because I've always gone back to the earlier editions that I've got.
Right.
I think that's when I was in vinyl stamp collecting phase.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've all been there. Right. Okay. Let's move it on. Yeah, so Nebraska for me is brilliant, but I am listening more to the Lost Tapes. I really want to get that box set, even though I've got the 2 LP. There's still an itch in the back of my head that I just feel like I need to have. It's the same as the Oasis box set that's just been released. I kind of. Anyway.
You and me both, man.
Okay. What's Richard saying? If you ask 10 different Springsteen fans which album is their favorite, you're likely to get 7 or 8 different answers. That is correct.
True.
Oh yeah.
Very true.
Like David, would you say that your mind changes week to week? Sometimes you think, "Oh, I'll play this one this week." Do you know, I'm going to
Well,
go
I
back.
do. I'm a bit of a completist, so I've got like I don't know about 100 bootlegs as well, including studio outtakes. So I'm always on the search for something new. But I go back to Darkness on the Edge of Town if I want to kind of just get that real connection. That or the Ghost of Tom Joad, and maybe of a latter day album, Wrecking Ball is fantastic. I love Wrecking Ball. Fantastic album.
So I was listening to music in the car this morning because I use Apple Music, and there's a single just been released today, "Lonely Night in the Park," as a single. Now I don't know if that's part of the Lost Tapes as well.
No, that comes from the Born to Run sessions.
Oh right, okay.
Is
I wasn't
that in the
sure.
box set? Is that in
No.
the Born to Run box set?
No.
Wow, so that's a new
just-
one. That's been
Oh,
on it.
yeah, no, it's completely unheard, I think. Yeah.
Let me
Wow.
just make myself big 2 secs.
It's good. I heard it this morning. A friend of mine sent it to me. It's good. The
So
chorus
it's
is a bit rubbish, but it's got a great Born to Run sound.
Yeah, so that's the one that I heard this morning. I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
what's this?" And I thought, I wonder if it's off the box, off the Lost Tapes, and they're releasing them as singles. But I thought that's kind of weird if they're doing that. They haven't released the others, so yeah.
Wow.
Okay, yeah, Nebraska, love the album. So, yeah. Right, Mr. Gallagher, where you go?
Okay. It's another one you're going to blame me for, Chris. But a band that I got into very early in my musical development as a youngster, I guess, because this is another one, osmosis from my dad, because he was a big musical influence on me. And this has really shaped a lot of the music I listen to is, a lot of Canadian roots stuff. And it all starts with these guys, the band. 4/5 Canadian. These guys are legendary, right? It's funny that I gravitate to these guys so much, considering that I hate Bob Dylan with the fire of 1,000 volcanoes.
What?
What's our favorite word, Rob, to use to describe him?
I have many. It's his voice is like shitting razor blades. I just can't hear it.
Cheese grate.
Or dragging your balls across a cheese grater. Absolutely, I hate Bob Dylan.
No, come on.
I know I like to hide my feelings about Bob Dylan, but without Dylan, I don't know that we'd know who these guys were. They started as Ronnie Hawkins' band. They're from Stratford, Ontario, which is about 40 minutes that way from where I live, and went on to do amazing things. I love everything that they put out. I think The Last Waltz is the greatest live album ever recorded. This is their third record, Stage Fright. Not a big fan of music from Big Pink, their first record, because it is massively Dylan influenced. Dylan wrote some of the songs on it. Love the Brown album, the second album. But I think I really love this too. This has obviously Stage Fright on it. The Shape I'm In, the W.S. Walcott Medicine Show. Yeah, man, this is a phenomenal record. There was something different about these guys. They were playing music that was a little different. It's that they sort of invented that Americana sound, and they weren't Americans except for Levon the drummer. So they influenced a hell of a lot of people.
I've just ordered the Big Pink and the brown one, the brown cover, the band. The band, is it called? I can't remember I just
It's called The Band, the self-titled album. That one I think is their best. This is they're all really bloody good. So I had got into it from my dad. I think I had heard Up on Cripple Creek on the radio, and Dad goes, "Well, if you like that, here's the album it's off." And that was the Brown album, or the self-titled album. And I just went in from there. And I'm a teenager in high school, and as my friends are listening to Nirvana and Pearl Jam, I'm listening to the band.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the Basement Tapes then? The full long version?
Too much Bob Dylan for me. Way too much Bob Dylan for me. But you know what? Dylan's part of the magic sauce that sort of made these guys what they are, right? So I can't shit on it too much.
I think Bob Dylan would be better if he didn't sing and just played instruments. But there we are.
Oh boy!
Heresy.
I think
Oh my god!
I think that's probably good. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I have the Basement tapes. I rarely listen to them. I have Before the Flood. I rarely listen to it. I don't have Planet Waves. That's the only one that I need. But
I almost
Love
picked
them.
Bob Dylan for today. I wish I had now.
Yeah, me too. I was going to pick him as well, but he's not on my pile.
thank goodness for that.
Save it up for next time, guys. Right. Let's before everybody starts scrapping. Daryl, what you got?
Hopefully, it's not Bob Dylan.
No, I watched that.
Oh no,
No,
this
no,
is the furthest thing from Bob Dylan here.
Good.
So I had promised Chris that I was going to show a Welsh singer today.
Okay. I thought you was going to say Nickelback again then.
No. Speaking of Nickelback, I don't know if you saw this, but Vinyl Richie showed a clip of my Nickelback shirt from Wednesday's show.
At least Nickelback can sing better than Bob Dylan. And I hate Nickelback.
Okay,
So
Welsh.
in the-
Go ahead, mate. Welsh, what
In
you
the
got?
mid to late 90s, my brother became a DJ for a couple of years. He did high school dances and little local gigs and stuff like that. And you know, for a period of time, because like I had mentioned earlier, like mid 90s, I'm listening to Tool and stuff like that. So I came around to this singer a little bit later on. And I don't think she really ever, with the exception of maybe one song, I don't think she ever made it anywhere in North America. But
I think
I've
I know what
always
you're gonna say.
liked Donna Lewis, which is
Right.
just crazy.
Yeah.
Soft pop, I guess you would say. I find her voice like, I mean, we're not going to say that she's Amanda Marshall because she's not Amanda Marshall. Definitely not. But I guess if we're going to look at some soft, angelic stuff, which is the opposite of Tool, you know, I find that with the exception of the remix that's at the end of this of I Love You Always Forever, I think that this is a near perfect album in my opinion. And I even have the nice little gold record there. So it's a nice album. But I mean, you know, it's kind of funny. Like I've got Primus, I got Tool, and then I go to Donna Lewis, which I mean, I could have put Tom Jones on here. I like Tom Jones too. Go with some Welsh singers, but I don't know what ever happened. I know that the album that she did after this, the Blue Planet one, was okay, and then she just kind of disappeared. So, I mean, maybe you or David might have some more insight onto that, but I truly do like Donna Lewis. I think that she's if I'm looking for something that's a little more mellow, and like I said, my brother introduced me to her. My brother was all over the map with music that he listened to too, but yeah, kind of an unusual choice for me. But you know, if I'm going to go in the vein of, you know, the Sheryl Crows and the Amanda Marshalls and stuff like that, I do like Donna Lewis as well in that vein.
From my perspective, I remember when the song came out, "I Love You Always Forever." That was a massive one, and then it got re-released like 2 years later as a dance song. So when we went to Ibiza and Magaluf, and when I used to enjoy going out, now I just stay in the house because it's just cheaper and easier because I don't like people. But that was kind of everywhere at the time. And I'm saying that while I'm on YouTube talking to hundreds of people, but you know what I mean.
Hundreds. Come on now.
Yeah. So
she was pretty much just overplayed to death, is what you're saying.
Yeah. David, would you say? Do you remember her coming out with that song? I think it was '95 that came out.
I don't. My mind has drawn a blank.
What's the song? Go, me and you always forever. That's the one, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're going to get a copyright strike.
Yeah. I always get copyright strike for my singing. You know that. Where's Alex from Being on Vinyl? Because he loves the strike.
Exactly.
Yeah, good choice, mate. I don't know if you can go from Tool to that, but it was good. That's why I keep meaning to ask you, Daryl, because every time I see you on the live stream, you always wear the Canada top, and I'm taking. Is that a Israel? Am I getting that wrong?
Oh, my shirt?
Yeah,
No, it's a Greek.
Greek. Sorry.
Yeah.
So are they football tops?
Yeah. So when I was in Greece a couple of years ago, I bought this, and I had on the back of it actually the name of their national goaltender Dimavlakos is on it, but it's in Greek Cyrillics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I bought it while I was in Greece.
Okay.
We
Brilliant.
call them goalkeepers over here.
Yes.
Goalkeepers.
Right. Brilliant. Good choice, mate. I'm gonna have to go back to Apple
Just so
Music.
you're aware, you
That's
guys
fine.
might be disappointed. I'm actually a Crystal Palace fan.
Really? How did that happen?
I don't know. Just got onto it and liked it.
I'm assuming David's a Newcastle fan.
Oh yeah, I'm full on Newcastle fan, but Palace are a good team. But they've lost a really good player this week, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I support Manchester United, and we'll just leave it at that, and we'll move on.
Fuck you.
So,
That's the wrong one.
Manchester United in
Yeah.
Tenby. Excuse me.
well, actually, so when I was younger, my granddad was a big, massive Wrexham fan, which is now owned by Deadpool.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's
I've
miles
always
away as well.
It is miles away, yeah. We never liked Cardiff, never liked Swansea because they were just fighting against each other constantly. So, yeah, Wrexham fan usually, but yeah. Right, before this goes any further, Brian's probably looking at us going, what the hell are they talking about? So, over to you, Brian.
All right. Well, I figured I couldn't do this live stream without picking this band that I loved for years, and so much so that I tried to follow all of the sort of the tentacles that led from this band, and that is King Crimson. And this is the Young Person's Guide to King Crimson from 1976, which is an interesting compilation. By the way, I did a King Crimson ranking a while ago, if you want to check it out. But
Links will be in
Crimson.
the description below.
That's right. Love the album cover in this, by the way.
Yes.
Robert Fripp's band. I mean, there's certain things I just love about this band. One, I love first of all, Robert Fripp's guitar playing, which I think is next level. The fact that the band was sort of folded and then restarted with different members many times, and there was some stability in the 80s. I love the 80s version of King Crimson with Adrian Belew, Tony Levin, and Bill Bruford, and Fripp, of course. But for, I would say, maybe a decade, I was spending all my time searching out records and CDs from people associated with King Crimson. So that meant, finding various Robert Fripp records with Eno here, finding, the League of Gentlemen and the League of Crafty Guitarists, circling back to Adrian Belew, who I knew before then. So also I have a big stack of Bill Bruford CDs, which I think are really interesting. The one thing I will say is the current iteration of King Crimson, I'm not a huge fan of. I have some recordings from them, some live recordings. I don't really like the singer. I forget his name, Jacko. I forget his last name. I don't really. It doesn't really connect with me. I really miss Adrian Belew as a vocalist and as a guitarist and as a lyricist. Really, I think he was top notch. So this is a band that I've been obsessed with. Sometimes it sort of cools off, but then I come back to it and always find something interesting about them, and just sort of spent time sort of tracking down all of the associated like the projects. I saw Project 2 in Toronto, which I thought was phenomenal. Finding all the project box set, the other projects, which I thought was really interesting. It just goes on, like Fripp with I'm going to forget. He did a lot of work with other artists as well, and I find him really interesting.
They're a fantastic band, and even with Jacko Jackson on vocals, the live shows and the tours in the last 10 years have been fantastic.
Yeah, I also probably should have said that, if I didn't say that, Progressive, obviously, probably the first record was probably the first Progressive record, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I don't consider myself to be a huge prog fan, but that band really connected with me. So yeah, I just think they're really interesting.
Yeah, once you get around to Red,
yeah,
it bears no resemblance to the which is about 1974, I think it is.
Yes,
Bears no resemblance to that prog rock sound of the first couple of albums,
Exactly.
and they were no longer a prog band, really, were they?
I guess not explicitly. You're right. It sort of
Yeah.
had other influences,
Yeah.
for sure. But interesting band. Anyway,
Fantastic band.
So this is why I love Brian, because I used to watch when he was on Rob's live stream all the time, and some of the stuff he comes out with, I'm just like, I have no idea what these people are. And like I end up going online and on a look, I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds really good.
including King Crimson. And you don't know much about them?
I know of them. I've viewed a few songs. I have got a King Crimson album somewhere that I'm meaning to get clean professionally, because it hasn't been touched over 30, 40 years maybe.
Yeah. Your comment about who, someone made a comment about choosing a favorite Bruce Springsteen record. With King Crimson, it's really interesting. When I did my ranking, some guy said the album I put last, he said, was his favorite, because they can sound radically different from one another.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Cool, mate.
Never stood still. Never stood still.
No, true.
Right. Okay, so let's look at the comments. Go Man City. I wonder where that came from. And Simon, who was a Tottenham Hotspur fan, 2-0.
Well done, Spurs.
Who are they playing tonight? Who are they playing tonight? Man City, were they?
No, yesterday they played yesterday.
Oh, yeah, okay, right.
At Man City Stadium.
That's right, yeah, because the goalkeeper made an absolute terrible mistake. I saw it. He literally passed it to the striker. I was like, what are you doing? Brilliant. Okay. I can't find him. Right, David. Sorry, mate. This is
so
nothing tonight.
1978, Bruce Springsteen. And I was just thinking just a few minutes ago about what makes these bands my favorite bands or favorite artists. And I think the common denominator is that I used to buy T-shirts with the band or the artist on the front.
Yes.
And one of the bands that I definitely bought several T-shirts. Yeah, I saw that earlier. I wasn't going to mention it, but the first time I saw this band was in, is it 78? And it was The Clash, Newcastle University, and then of course another one of the greatest albums of all time.
Yeah,
fantastic. And honestly, I was into punk, and of course this is not really a punk album. It's a very, very, very rock album. But when I saw them live, one of the things that I always remember, because they had Mick Jones on guitar and Joe Strummer would play guitar as well, and they had this guitar tone that like chimes, and it's just you used to feel the energy coming off the stage like a wall of sound with super loud guitars. Energy was just absolutely fantastic. One of the best live bands I ever saw. Wonderful band. Brilliant.
Excellent.
Another one everybody agrees with.
Yeah. 2 thumbs up.
But I know that the Clash, especially London Calling, that was nominated for the top 10 best looking album covers of all time, and the top 10 albums you should own on vinyl.
Even though they stole the design from Elvis.
They did. But that'd be great to have an oversized version of that, you know, in a frame on the wall. It would be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can get one. And just to bring it back to Springsteen, one of the great openings of one of the best gigs I ever saw was at Hyde Park about 2012 when Springsteen opened with London Calling. Absolutely
No
fantastic.
way.
Wow.
He did. Yeah.
Wow.
Incredible.
I hope there's a recording of that somewhere.
There's a DVD of it.
Is it?
You can get a DVD. I think it's called London. I think the show's called London Calling, or Hyde Park Calling. It was called Hyde Park Calling.
I think that's right.
And he opened with London Calling. It was just sensational.
Cool. Right. Okay. So it's back to me. I think for this one we're going to go to Canada. My favorite Canadian artist of all time.
Nickelback.
Bryan Adams.
Sass Jordan.
Mr. Gordon Lightfoot.
There you go.
I said this before. My mum got me into Gordon Lightfoot. I just think I haven't heard a bad song.
Because there isn't one.
No, I don't think there is. I think he's one of these artists that his voice is so perfect. He doesn't have to shout at all. Gets the message across. He says exactly what's happening in that time in his life, all that's going on, and I think he's just the perfect artist to me, Mr. Gordon Lightfoot. I just love him. I think he's fantastic. And I'm in the process of collecting his albums. Like this one's the gold one, which is pretty much the greatest hits, the best of.
Of course.
So anybody wants to get into Gordon Lightfoot, probably this is a good gateway to get into him. But I'm going to go back, I think, right to the start and try and pick up some Gordon Lightfoot as I go along.
The next ones you should get are Sundown and probably summertime dream.
Summertime Dream. You know,
Yeah,
Bob
but
Dylan Bob Dylan was a big Gordon Lightfoot fan. In case no one knew that.
Yeah, he
Well,
was.
he was probably looking to somebody that could actually sing.
The influence didn't rub off, so
So-
Lightfoot albums are really cheap, though, aren't they? You can pick them up secondhand for pennies.
yep,
So
absolutely true.
I'm gonna the next couple of weeks now. I'm gonna try and get Sundown. That's the one I want to get, and then go from there. So brilliant. I love his voice. Reminds me of good times in my life. Not that I'm going through a bad time.
So, speaking of Sundown, I can share half of a story. There's been a lot of debate over the years about who the song Sundown is about.
Yeah.
I know somebody was friends with Gord. Gord told him the story about who Sundown is about. And I know the story, but I've been sworn that I'm not allowed to repeat it. And it's not about who everyone thinks it's about.
Wow.
So it's not about Nickelback.
It could be. But it's like, God damn it, man. I'd like to tell people, but I'm not allowed. I said, please don't share that story. I'm like, okay.
What a tease. What a
I know,
tease.
right?
And for next week's show, we're still not going to tell you.
Right.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So Gordon Lightfoot. I'll quickly go over this because you've covered this. So I don't really want to cover it again. Rob got me into this band as well. It's the band. This is Cahoots. I'm addicted to this album at the moment. He also sent me The Last Waltz. Fantastic. I'm getting to them, and I've ordered the 2 albums now in the record shop in Tenby this week. So that should be coming this week. The only problem is in the UK at the moment, it's bank holiday. So there's not many shops open. How would you explain bank holiday to people who are not in Britain, David? Because I'm trying to work this up in my head. How would you do this? I know banks are not open. Banks never bloody
It's
open.
a public holiday, guys. It's a public
Yeah.
holiday.
So
You guys have them as well, don't you? On a
Yeah, we
Monday
have
every
something
now
called the
and then.
civic holiday in August. It's just
Yeah.
when all the government-run institutions close down.
oh, mate, we have about
Yeah.
5 a year. Don't we, David? It's
We do,
ridiculous.
yeah, we do.
It used to be just for everybody to go for a piss up.
No, I'm sorry. It's 5 days. 5 days a year when all the public employees go to work. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, the rest of us got to work, except the banks.
Yeah, we have a similar. I mean, even Remembrance Day, I
Yeah.
think some people refer to it as a bank holiday because we work, but banks are closed.
Yeah.
And schools are closed. No, schools are open, aren't they? Yeah.
No, schools are open.
Schools are open. Yeah.
Right, brilliant. Okay, so we will go to. Look at him getting his shades on already. He should be born on the stage. Here he is. Look at him.
All right, what are we gonna go with? Okay, we'll go with this one. I mean, I've talked about these guys before.
Fleetwood Mac. Yeah.
Fleetwood Mac. I love Fleetwood Mac, and I love every Fleetwood Mac. I love Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
I love Peter Green after Fleetwood Mac. I love the Rumors era Fleetwood Mac. I love the sort of Billy Bramlett, Dave Mason, Becca Bramlett Fleetwood Mac. I love the Fleetwood Mac with Neil Finn and Mike Campbell. I don't really think of Fleetwood Mac as a band. I think of it as a musical collective where the two constants are just Mick Fleetwood and John McVie. And they went from British blues to AOR top 40, whatever. And so I love everything about this band. This was also my dad's favorite band. So, I talked at length on my channel that my dad was, my best friend, and he was my musical, Jedi master, if you will. And, my dad passed away quite unexpected and tragically 16 years ago. But music's still kind of my connection to him. And, especially when I'm listening to Fleetwood Mac, I'm not a religious person by any means, but I kind of feel like he's here when I'm listening to Fleetwood Mac. And I show this album specifically. This is Say You Will, which came out in, didn't have these stupid sunglasses on, 2000 and something, I don't know, mid 2000s. This was the Rumors era lineup minus Christine McVie because she had a phobia of flying on an airplane. So it was them without her. And this is technically the last Fleetwood Mac studio album, but there was the Buckingham McVie album later, which had all of Fleetwood Mac on it except Stevie. So, but when this came out, this was kind of a, Fleetwood Mac hasn't put out an album in 15 years or whatever. Peacekeeper was the hit off of here, and this was the one and only time I got to go to a concert with my dad. I remember we were driving somewhere, and Peacekeeper came on the radio, and Dad goes, "Man, I'd like to see them." And I go, "Well, we're going, Dad. I've got us tickets." And I surprised him with tickets, and we went to this concert. And I've never seen the man so happy in my life. It was great. I wish, because I'm such a music fan, and he was too, I wish we could have gone to more shows together, but this was the only one that we ever went to, and I'm glad if it was anybody, I'm glad it was Fleetwood Mac. So I love the music, but more importantly, as I said earlier in the stream, I like how music connects people and connects to different, points in your life. This says, sentimentally, this means even more than the actual music itself does. So. There you go.
And that's kind of an overlooked album now, but it's a brilliant album. It was a fantastic comeback.
Yeah, it was very, very good. It's very good. The one that I think it's overlooked the most is the one-off album called Time that came out in the 90s that had Becca Bramlett as the lead singer. And most people go, I've never even heard of that record because it's so forgotten about. Fleetwood Mac doesn't really even acknowledge it anymore. I've got it on CD. It's phenomenal. I remember the night that my dad died, and I came home at 2:00 in the morning after going through all the things that we had to go through that night. And my wife and I went downstairs, and the first thing that I could think of was, I got to put on some Fleetwood Mac. And we just sat there, and that's just the album I pulled at random. And my wife and I sat there just in silence listening to that, having, my dad had just died 2-3 hours earlier, and it was just, it felt a little bit better. So thank God I'm wearing sunglasses right now.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right. Okay. Well, where the fuck am I going? Hang on. Sorry, guys. StreamYard. Rob will tell you that StreamYard has been playing up for the last couple of weeks. I don't know what they've done. They've done an update,
Glitchy,
and it's absolutely dreadful. Shit! I thought I was Chad Kroger. Right. What's going on?
Oh, if I'm Chad Kroger, I need to retire.
your hair's a little shorter.
Yeah.
All right, I've talked about this next band kind of ad nauseum, so I'm not gonna go too much in it on my channel. But I talked about Glass Tiger being my favorite Canadian band. If I'm gonna identify what my favorite American band is, and they only released three albums as a band. I mean, the lead singer has done his own solo work since then. But I think the reason I gravitate to this band is just he has such not a subtle way, but he's got a very diplomatic way of dealing with almost any social issue you possibly can without offending the masses. He puts it in a very nice, constructive way. And that's Bruce Hornsby and the Range.
Yes.
This is the Scenes from the South Side album. For me, I mean, you talked about Gordon Lightfoot earlier, Chris, as to you don't find there's any bad songs by him. I'd be hard pressed, at least on the three albums done by Bruce Hornsby and the Range. For me, I can't find a bad song by them, and I think a testament to him is when a guy like Jerry Garcia from the Grateful Dead says, "Hey, I'll do some backing vocals or backing music." He had Sean Colvin, who is known for Sonny Came Home and stuff like that. I mean, he's had all kinds of different famous musicians join along, and I don't know. There's just something about him. I could listen to all three albums, studio albums by them back to back to back, and it wouldn't bother me one bit. This one here has "Look Out Any Window" and "The Valley Road." Those are the big ones. But he also did, on this one, it's got the cover by Huey Lewis and the News. It's got a cover. Jacob's Ladder is on here, which is fantastic by either one of them. I mean, I can't say either one of the versions is a bad version. And The Show Goes On is on the Backdraft soundtrack, if you've ever seen Backdraft, the movie. So I don't know. There's just something about Bruce Hornsby and the range. I like that melodic piano that he does. Mandolin Rain obviously with the mandolin and stuff. And Rob, I mean,
yeah,
you talk about listening to music with your dad. This is kind of one of these things. My dad didn't listen to Bruce Hornsby often, but it just brings me to a period in my life when I was younger. The community that I grew up in, we did a lot of blueberry picking, going into the woods and stuff. And that was kind of like one of those things that was always on in the car, going to all these different functions that we would do. And just kind of reminds me of that time period.
Have you got the Backdraft soundtrack?
Yes,
No.
I do.
Right. I thought you showed it before. I was thinking, I'm sure Daryl showed that.
And actually, if we were to do an episode of our favorite movies of all time, Backdraft is in my top 3.
Okay.
One of my favorite movies.
It's no
Yeah,
Grease
Rob.
too, Daryl.
No
Yeah,
Grease
I
too,
knew
no.
I was going to say Grease too. I was waiting for it. Right. Okay. Right. Let's go to Brian next.
All right, it was a struggle to figure out what to talk about next, but I decided to go with a band from Swindon called XTC. And I'm not sure if this is not really my favorite. I just grabbed an XTC record. I didn't know which one to grab, but it's interesting to me. This band was very important to me because there was a period in my life. Well, let me just go back. In 1979, I was sitting in geography class beside a guy who often gave me musical suggestions, and XTC was his suggestion one week, and I went out and bought a copy of Drums and Wires, which I found to be just, well, in some respects, weird, angular, unconventional, didn't really fit what you'd hear on the radio, kind of strange. I mean, Making Plans for Nigel was perhaps radio friendly, but Complicated Game, Roads Girdle the Globe are probably songs that were just too strange for the radio. And from that day forward, I sort of became a real fan of this band. I think they talk a lot about Englishness. There's something in their music that is Beatle-esque in a way. Some of their productions are very lush. Some of them are very strange. This particular album, I think, is just phenomenal. I think this would be top 2 or 3 perhaps for me. But Andy Partridge, I think, is a musical genius. The band is sort of disintegrated, but I followed them along for years. I have everything on vinyl, believe it or not, that they released. And then the band people left, and eventually there was no one left. But I'd say one of the best UK bands of all time. And of course, maybe Skylarking would be my favorite XTC record, that produced by Todd Rundgren. A very interesting record that seems to be a concept record. Really great. I mean, I don't know. Are there any other bands from Swindon? I'm not sure, but really interesting band. I've long loved them. So,
David, can you think of any other band from Swindon? I'm trying to baffle my brain here.
I can't, but Dave Gregory, who played with XTC, joined one of my favorite bands in the last 20 years. And I met the guy in Real World Studios about 7 or 8 years ago. But I saw XTC on the bill with the Police in UB40 in the south of France in 1980, I think it was.
Wow, very cool.
I think before Andy Partridge got stage fright.
Yeah, they played in Toronto.
I think I like them as well, but there's something about Partridge's vocals that seem to come from the head, not from the heart. So they don't. I don't warm to his singing style.
Well, he doesn't really. There are a few love songs. I don't know if that's what you're getting at, but there are a few. But the songs are not. I think I understand what you're saying, but I can't articulate it. So, anyway, I think Colin Moulding wrote some great songs too. He didn't write as many, but Sacrificial Bonfire is always one that I appreciate from him, which rounds out Skylarking. Yeah, really interesting band though.
XTC is they're kind of a funny band because they're the only one that I have in my collection where I've got a 45 and I've got a 12-inch, but I don't have an actual album on it.
Yeah, which one would you go for, Brian, for a newcomer? Which one would you suggest?
I would say either English Settlement or Skylarking.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, probably.
If I was
Maybe those
advising Chris, I'd probably go for some sort of best of or greatest hits. I would.
You son of
Yeah.
a bitch.
Waxworks. Waxworks, the singles.
That's right. Yeah, 2 CD.
You know me so well. Right. Richard was saying, definitely an excellent band. Can't choose one
it's hard.
favorite album though.
Yeah, it's tough.
Cool. Right. Okay. We're gonna go to Mr. Atkinson next.
Oh, it's me. Right. Okay. Another singer songwriter, amazing career. He had put out probably a dozen albums before I even found any album that kind of clicked with me, and that was my introduction, which was Into the Music by Van Morrison. And I have a preference for Van's spiritual kind of style. His R&B stuff kind of leaves me cold, although the double live album, It's Too Late to Stop Now, is one of the best live albums. Just energy and that is absolutely fantastic. But there's a couple of albums he released in the middle of the 1980s which are just beautiful, and he's not afraid of putting an instrumental on his albums. He writes about spiritual matters in these two albums in particular. But one of the things that's really remarkable about him is that his voice today is just as good as it was in 1970. It's kind of a little bit more rounded off, whereas a lot of our favorite artists are from way, way back. They croak through their songs. They can't hit the notes. This guy, even though he's got quite an idiosyncratic singing style, and it's not for everybody, but man, he can still hold a note. He's brilliant. Oh yeah, Ben Rankin screams no. Ben Rankin knows nothing. But yeah, Van Morrison, absolutely amazing artist. Live, hit and miss, bit like Dylan. You get one gig, one night, it's like, what the hell? What's the fuss about? And then the next time you see him, it's like, oh my God, that's amazing. But yeah, Van Morrison, superb.
So we got you from Nick Vinyl Butty. He always entertains me on some of these comments, honest to God. London Call is a hatch patch of different styles
get away.
etc. with only 2 decent songs on it. It's an album by a band who has forgotten who they are and what they're about. Grump over.
A band who refused to be defined by their fans. So credit to Joe, and Mick for pushing the boundaries. Good for them. Made them more interesting.
And then
Don't
Simon
listen
goes,
to 999 albums anymore.
and then Simon goes, it's a bit shit, isn't it, Nick?
God, there's
Yeah,
more than Ben Rankin's that who knows nothing.
Ooh. Brilliant. Okay, I am up next. So I'm looking at the time here. We're coming up to the 2-hour mark, so I'm going to show 2 albums. Anybody want to do a fast track, kind of what they got left, that kind of thing. Now, Daryl mentioned this earlier on. It's bread.
I like toast.
What's wrong with bread?
I love bread.
Good when it's toasted.
And yeah, with strawberry jam as well.
Absolutely.
Bread, another one my mum introduced me to when I was younger. Kind of walked in the kitchen when I was a little toddler, and this would be on the kind of CD player or tape at the time. But yeah, just kind of love their music. I still stick them on to this day. I feel like this is a kind of Sunday album that you put on with a cup of coffee in the morning and just chill out and try and ignore the missus. But she's going to kill me for saying that. But yeah, it's for a best of. It's got so many good tracks.
Yeah.
And that's another band I'm in the process. I'm going to start picking up their actual albums as well. Make it with you. I love that song, baby. I want you. It doesn't matter to me, and so many other good tracks on here. So, and I believe this album is getting re-released on Rhino Records as well. So I'm not sure if it's going to go full high fidelity, but I know Rhino are promoting this as well to on their website the other day, and I spent so much money on Rhino. It's ridiculous at the moment.
They were terribly derided in the 70s because they bought out the other best of with like the yellow cover, and they became like Housewife's favorite, Radio 2 fodder. But I've discovered them in the last 15, 20 years, and there's some great songwriting there, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I'm going to show an artist that Rob absolutely hates, but I absolutely love. It's Mr. John Mayer. This is The Search for Everything. And if you want to get a good John Mayer song with fantastic lyrics, there's two on here, Love on the Weekend and In the Blood, where he's talking about his parents and his dad and his brothers and why they don't get along. So there's
Bob
Mr.
Dylan takes a shit and it looks like John Mayer.
It doesn't. What are you talking about? You just jealous. He didn't marry Taylor Swift.
Hey, terrible.
Thank goodness for that.
I saw John Mayer live last year in Ireland on an acoustic tour. He literally on his own, no band, just acoustic, playing all the instruments. Absolutely tremendous.
Sorry to hear that.
I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna show my favorite Australian band. Okay, and I've got the original album. Rob has got this because he bought it on Record Store Day, and I picked this up from the Record Store today because he reordered it saying it's in stock. And this is Jet.
Yeah.
David, Brian, I don't know, Darryl, if you've heard this band.
Got a CD of the debut album, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, this is the debut album. And because it's low on the vinyl community and every live stream, if you haven't pulled it, what do you do, Rob?
Grip it and rip it. Oh, yeah, there it is. Oh, yeah. Well done, sir.
So there you go. This is the Record Store Day. This is the B-sides rarities. So this is kind of like the other take of the original album they did. This is literally just on black vinyl. So obviously the massive one on here is Are You Gonna Be My Girl, which is the alternative versions. And there's also live sessions. This is going way back now. Are You Gonna Be My Girl? Live sessions at AOL sessions. Remember AOL?
Yeah.
Online. But yeah, it's amazing. If nobody's heard of Jet, we'll give it a stream. Really, really good band to listen to. And then I said two, but screw it. It's my live stream. I'll do what I want. The third one is Foo Fighters' latest album. This is pretty much a tribute to Taylor Hawkins, who's the drummer who died. Really good album to have. And this is But We Are, that's what it's called. And believe it or not, because the cover, it is on white vinyl. So, love Foo Fighters. Saw them last year, and the support act was Wet Leg.
Nice.
And Wet Leg were absolutely terrible. They may be better now. I know I've listened to the new album. It's not my kind of music, but there's some really good catchy tracks on the new album because Liz keeps playing them for me and I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. But yeah, so
just wait for the greatest hits.
I might be waiting a while. But yeah, we'll see. So that was my selection for this evening. And let's head off to Manchester now.
Okay. I'll be quick.
Sorry, Toronto tonight. Sorry.
Yes, in Toronto. Catch at the Rogers Stadium in a couple hours. You too. I'm not gonna say a ton about it. A girl introduced me to U2 back in the 90s, the same time I was discovering Oasis. And this is my original first pressing of Octung Baby, and it's absolutely mint. Love it. Love all their albums except for Zooropa, not a big fan. And I really hate Songs of Experience, the rest of it. Huge fan. So, U2. And I'm going to close it out with an obscure one that no one gives a shit about and no one's even heard of, but I absolutely love this band, so I'm going to talk about it. This band is now defunct, but this was a band called Dustin Bentall and the Smokes, and they were a band from British Columbia. And they were together for about, 6 or 7 years, I think. They put out 3 albums, and I saw them every single chance that I got. Dustin Bentall, his father is Barney Bentall, who was kind of a big deal in Canadian rock in the 90s. He had a band called Barney Bentall and the Legendary Hearts, kind of in that same vein as, Blue Rodeo, I guess. But his son made some really great albums that were, I like to call them stoner rock, just a little pinch of country on the side. It's kind of cool stuff. Absolutely love these guys. I got to know Dustin fairly well. He hasn't done much in the last few years, but his band is a collection of folks that have done stuff. His drummer is Pat Stewart, who is Bryan Adams' drummer. His bass player was Del Cowsill, whose father was Billy Cowsill of the Cowsills. And his fiddle player was a friend of mine, Kendall Carson, who now plays with Shania Twain. She's played with Elvis Costello. She's played with John Prine. She's played with a whole bunch of people and has had an absolutely amazing career and continues to do so. On her solo album, I know David mentioned Van Morrison a little while ago. On her solo album, John Platania, who's Van Morrison's guitar player, is her guitar player. So, anyway, just a great kind of unique sort of, like I said, stoner rock with country flavored stoner rock. I really wish that these guys were still around, but they've all gone on to do their own things. So there you go. I'm done.
Cool, mate. Let me just go through the. This works. Does Chris actually like anything from England? Yes, I do. I like Oasis. It's like, what do you want me to say? You got Razorlight, you got Oasis, you got the Coral. I love English bands. It's just there's not so many of them anymore. Richard saying, yep, I have Jet's debut on CD as well. Richard was saying that Wet Leg are currently selling at the shows, tickets selling.
It's true. True. They're gonna be really big.
They are gonna be really big. But I just think maybe they were just off-put slightly because it was the Foo Fighters, and you're playing in front of 90,000 people in Cardiff. Maybe that was kind of, I don't know. I knew one song.
Maybe they were intimidated because you were there. Famous YouTuber.
They saw me and they thought, "Good God alive!" Right? It's not the vinyl man.
It
surely
can't be the vinyl man.
Bloody hell. Okay, Daryl, come on, mate. What you got?
All right, I will finish this off with 3. So I talked about earlier that in the early 90s I wasn't really into grunge. It took me a little while to get into it, and then when I was in university, the way that my residence worked is it was me and my roommate, and we had a washroom, and we shared it with the 2 guys that were next door. And I was using the washroom one day, and I know you're not supposed to overhear people's conversations and all that kind of stuff, but I couldn't help it. They were talking about this band because he was listening to it, and I was like, "Who the hell is this? It's really good." And so I bit the bullet, and I knocked on his door later in the day. I was like, "Hey, I hate to tell you this, but I was overhearing a conversation you were having while I was on the shitter. Who is that band you were listening to?" It was Alice in Chains, actually. It was this particular album. This is the Jar and the Flies EP. There's just something about it. I'm not a huge fan of Alice in Chains post Lane Staley. Obviously, anybody that knows Alice in Chains knows it's a tragic story, but this one here is probably the most palatable for people that aren't into grunge or whatever. It's more of an acoustic rock kind of thing, but it has no excuses. I stay away and don't follow. Those are the big the big singles. I truly like it. I know that in the 90s when it came out, I think it was released with another EP called Sap, I think it was. And that's that. Rob, you're going to like this one. This is a guilty pleasure of mine. Hair band. And that's Firehouse. Oh, he's not even there.
He's done a runner, mate. He couldn't care less at this point.
He's gone for a run. Guilty pleasure for Rob, though. I don't know what it is. This is the Hold Your Fire album. This came out dead smack in the middle of my high school days, going to the dances, slow dancing with the girls. And, of course, sadly, they lost CJ Snare, and I don't think Firehouse is going to be much of a band going forward. I think they've called it quits. I'm not 100% sure. And then I'm going to end this with a Canadian musician. And I pretty much I've completed almost his entire discography on vinyl, and that's Gino Vanelli. This is the Black Cars album, but for me personally, Brian, you were talking about Bruce Cockburn and stuff earlier. I know that he's not at that level. He's not really a singer-songwriter or anything like that, but I personally can't find any bad albums by him. I like all of his stuff, and it's that late 70s, mid to late 70s, becomes a little bit more like poppy in the 1980s, but I don't know. That's where I'll end it. Gino Vanelli, kind of a quirky guy out of the province of Quebec. Rob, you're back. I just wanted you to see this. My guilty pleasure. My guilty pleasure.
Yes, sir. Firehouse. Love it.
Well, there we go. Yeah, I'll end with Firehouse and Alice in Chains and Gino Vanelli.
And it wasn't Susanna Hoff.
Susanna Hoff.
Don't get me excited, Chris.
Right. Okay. So quick look here. That EP is probably my favorite Alice in Chains, if just for No Excuses. Yeah. Cool. Right. Okay. Brian.
Well, I figure I can't really be Canadian and not talk about Rush. I mean, it has to come up. I mean, well, it should have come up before now, but this may be their finest hour.
That's what she said.
Yes. I wasn't actually into Rush in the early days. I don't know. I didn't really get them, but I know some people are upset, or not upset. They can't deal with Geddy's voice. I never had an issue with that. I find it more disconcerting in later years where he couldn't actually hit the notes and he was always out of tune in concert, including some official live recordings. I found that more irritating, but I think this is a brilliant record. Moving Pictures from 1981. Excellent. And the last band I think I'll mention is maybe from the second wave of post-rock, Godspeed You, Black Emperor.
Nice.
The Canadian godfathers of post-rock. This is F Sharp, A Sharp, Infinity, their first full length. I can't say enough good things about this band. They are, post-rock, bringing that sort of classical component with other instruments, really engaging music with long passages. One of the records has one song per side. This is actually a pretty interesting package because it has that interesting insert, plus it has some other inserts, including in this little envelope, some more inserts, and a flattened penny that was put under a train, which we used to do as children near our house. So that's kind of this is a US, I don't know if this is US or Canadian, but it's been flattened by a train, which is something we used to do, which I found quite funny. But anyway, excellent band. I won't show all the inserts, but really cool. So that's it.
So Richard was saying, Rush, finally.
Took a while.
Right. Last one.
Last one from me. I could have had a few more, but one of the few artists in the last 25, 35 years that I've actually kind of just bought just about everything I can get my hands on, and that is the debut solo album from Ryan Adams. And only got to see him for the first time last autumn. Interesting character on stage, but incredible gift for songwriting, melody. As prolific as Dylan was back in the early days. Really sensitive songwriting, just beautiful. Just what a great artist. Even though he's a troubled character, who gives a shit? It's the music. It's just the music. It's fantastic.
David,
great artist.
Didn't he cover some Oasis songs? Didn't he do Wonderwall at one point?
He covered the entire story album. He did the whole thing.
He did he? Okay, I thought he did.
And it sucks.
Oh, right.
Which one, Rob? Which one was that one?
He covered the entire "What's the Story" Morning Glory album. You
Yeah.
can get it digitally, and it's shit.
I feel the same way about his cover of Nebraska, right? He did Nebraska. I couldn't
Yeah,
listen to it.
Not very
Terrible.
good.
Terrible.
He did the Taylor Swift album as well, in 1989, I think.
And it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Which
Great.
I've just listened to a couple of times.
Love it.
But yeah, I gravitate back to the early solo albums, this one and Gold in particular, or Demolition,
I was
which is
just
got
gonna
like one of
say
the B-sides.
Gold is what got me into Ryan Adams in the beginning. The
Yeah.
New York, and Firecracker. Really good songs.
The whole album's amazing. Just great. One classic track after another. So that's kind of me done, really. I got no more I want to show.
Well, thanks very much, guys. I really appreciate you jumping on. We've had a kind of mix of British, American, Canadian music. Really appreciate it. Appreciate David and Brian and Daryl and Rob for jumping on tonight. I've probably been nagging you all week about the link and stuff, so I apologize. I just want to make sure you got the right link coming through. But what we'll do is we'll quickly go around the horn to say, what's going on your channel, what kind of videos, that kind of stuff. So, Rob, what are you going on, mate?
I shot a video last night, which hopefully in the next couple days I'll edit and put up. It was my thoughts on the new re-release or whatever you want to call it of the Beatles anthology. So that's coming up. Spoiler, I'm not buying it. And other than that, I might make a video. I might make an Oasis video just because I'm emotionally distraught that I'm not there tonight. But other than that, you can catch me Wednesday nights at 8 Eastern on my channel with my co-host Daryl, and my other co-host Joe from On a Vinyl, and we always have a different guest each week. So other than my weekly video, catch me with Joe and Daryl on Wednesday nights.
If anybody hasn't seen Rob's live stream on Wednesday, it is pretty brilliant, especially with Joe and Daryl and the chemistry they've got going on together. It's pretty good.
I don't know if brilliant would be the word I'd use.
I enjoy it.
It's fun.
I enjoy it. So,
would you say we're brilliant, Daryl? Would you say we're brilliant?
I think that we're like YouTube celebrities now.
I guess.
there's no overhyping on this channel at all, is there? Right, Daryl, what's going on? You've done a couple of threads, mate, especially the greatest hits. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I did the greatest hits. Actually, what's funny about that greatest hits thing, I never intended it for it to be a thread, and it became a big thread. I did the 4x4 one. That one was fun. For Simon there, that was good. I'm thinking of doing the numbers one too. I'm not sure. I'm officially back to school now, so it's a little bit more timely now that I got to go back and teach again. Back from summer, whatever it is there. So
it's hard work having 6 months off a year, isn't it?
I know. Yeah, no, I was back to work on Wednesday, so don't have as much time for recording, but I'm going to try to do something. I was saying this on Rob's stream on Wednesday, that I want to do something to do with the Canadian Juno Awards, but musicians or artists that didn't win the award. They were the runner-up for the Juno Awards.
Because I think Bruce
might
is
try to do something like that.
Is Bruce Springsteen got nominated but never won anything in the Juno Awards?
It has to be Canadian for that.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So I'm gonna possibly do something to do with that, but I gotta figure out what I want to put on it. So that's about it, though. I mean, I don't have much on the go just because it's a little bit busy getting back to school again.
I enjoyed your threads you do, because you make me discover threads that don't come up in my algorithm at all. So it's kind of, I've told Rob this before, algorithms on YouTube are crap at the moment. I don't know what's going on. I've got to go into my subscriptions and watch what videos. I think, David, you had this trouble the other week, didn't you? Like algorithms and stuff. Like you couldn't find what you were looking for in your last video. You were saying about...
Yeah. Well, I think I'm not sure it's the algorithm. I think it's just a time zone issue. Is that these guys doing that live stream? It's way past my bedtime, and if it doesn't show up in my feed the next day, which is a lot of competition in my feed because I subscribe to so many different channels on different topics. I kind of miss them. So it's more about, you know, when I went to Canada and in the States in July, it was I didn't realize until I got there that I subscribed to, I think, just about everybody who was in attendance at MGK's bash, but I wasn't seeing most of their videos. So time zone issue, I think.
Yeah. So while we got you in conversation, like what's coming up in your? I know you've done the summer tag, this week, and you've done. I mean, I'm really enjoying your sections of your vinyl collection from numbers.
Yeah. I've got a couple of things I've got to sweep up. I've got a little bit of a travelogue thing from North America, which is just the tourism bit and not the meeting up with Brian and others. So I want to get that one done. I've got a couple of walking videos, a cycling video to put up. They'll just come out in the weeks to come. But on the music front, I've got two kind of things that are on the go. I'm picking out my favorite 500 albums on all different genres. It's a bit like what Mazzy does with his it's the Music Stew, but I was doing a version of that last year and the year before, but I thought I need to number them and give me a target to aim at. And the other thing is I'm doing a kind of an autobiographical series year by year, which is also going through what I think the top 20 albums are of each year. And I've got 1985 in the works. It's kind of a bit of a legacy project for me. It's it's for you guys. What will be interesting, if anything, it'll not be about me talking about my work experiences and holidays. It's going to be more about what are the top 20 albums of the year. So
yeah,
I'm going to get back onto that.
I do enjoy them, mate. And I'm not just saying that because you're on the live stream. I do enjoy your videos. I think they're really very educational for people that may want to discover new music that they've never heard of. Like I've told Rob and especially Brian and Daryl, it takes me at least 2 hours to watch a video because what I tend to do is I pause it and then I stream it. It takes me so long to watch the video, but yeah, I do enjoy your channel, mate. You've got a really good channel. Brian, mate.
Well, I think I'm going to have to do the greatest hits thread.
Yes.
Honestly, my big challenge now is catching up because I was camping. I just got back. So there's a lot of videos I haven't seen. And one thing I know, speaking of algorithms, is if you miss, like if I happen to click on YouTube on my phone and subscriptions videos comes up and I just close it thinks I don't want to see that channel. And so the next time it doesn't show it to me. Anyway, so I've got to catch up on videos. I have so many I haven't seen. I'm going to do a couple threads because I've got to get back into this. I still feel like I'm not back into making videos since I was out of the house for 4 months for the renovation. One video I am working on, which is not vinyl community related, is actually the renovation. I did a video of the before and some of the during. I just have to film the after. So because people have asked me what did you do? So I thought I would do that. But there's a few threads I want to do, and then I'm going to have to, I don't know, I'm not sure. There'll be new, vinyl pickups, that kind of thing. So that's it, really. That's as far as I can project into the future.
It's nice to see you back in your room, mate.
Yeah, it was a struggle clearing this out. It was, I think I mentioned, it was like a barricaded kind of, so it was a struggle moving everything around. I'm still not done.
Every time I was watching your video, like you were creeping back into your own house.
Yeah, it was slow process, and I'm not done yet. There's still a pile of stuff over there. So,
for me, I picked up Fleetwood Mac's Rhino High Fidelity album, which sounds good. If I'm not, it sounds good. And the other video I did was Delaney and Bonnie. I wonder where I got that idea from, Robert. So Rob has been recommending albums to me recently, and he said that Delaney and Boney would be a good one to pick up. So I've picked them up. So that's the video I've done. I've obviously done a live stream tonight, and then next week I'm going to do all the recent pickups I've done throughout August, pretty much. And then we got a live stream next week. We're going to do obscure vinyl artwork. So any covers, that kind of stuff that are out there. That you thought would be good to show. we're going to do that next week. So I'd like to thank my guests tonight. I thank David for taking his time out to jump in on this tonight. I really appreciate it, mate. Brian,
Welcome.
nice to meet you not in the flesh, but
Yeah,
over the
almost.
internet. Daryl, same again. Absolutely amazing having you on. Rob, as always, great friend. Thanks for everybody leaving comments tonight. Thanks for everybody who's watching this later. And I will catch with you next week. I will put a description of everybody's channel down below. Go and check them out. Go and subscribe. And I appreciate everybody who's tuned in tonight. Thanks very much for watching. And good night.
Later,